Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Geek Dad Reviews. I'm Brian West.
And I'm Ryan Thomason.
And tonight, we're going to be reviewing the latest from the Warner Brothers Animation Studios, Reign of the Supermen. Like I said, the latest DC animated movie.
There's a lot of Supermans.
A lot of Superman. You could even say it's raining Superman in this. This movie is directed by Sam Liu and has all the voice talent that you have come to know and expect in all these great DC animated movies.
Yeah, it's something. I think they had the people from the previous one.
Yes, I mean this is what who we got. We got Jerry O'Connell, Rebecca Romaine, Rainn Wilson, Rosario Dawson, Nathan Fillion. This is kind of the crew that they've been rolling with since DC kind of rebooted their animation studios with the Rebirth stuff, and they've been kind of running the same, I don't want to say storylines, but the same, kind of through line through all these movies. And so they've kept most of the same voice cast. And they've been great, and honestly, in this one, they're just as great. But this is a follow-up to the Death of Superman that came out, last year?
I think late last year. I think it was like, I want to say like 6 or 8 months ago or something like that. It wasn't that long ago, but...
Yeah, so what this did is, it's kind of interesting. I will say one of the things I do like about this movie and the last one and kind of this universe in general is they're taking a lot of the classic Superman and other character storylines, and they're kind of finding them a way to shoehorn them into the New 52 universe. So, they relaunched their animated universe with the New 52, and since, in the comic books they've done Rebirth, and they've kind of mixed and matched a lot of stuff. Well, this has found a way. The animation division has found a way to kind of shoehorn some of the classics, like the Death of Superman when he fights Doomsday, and the Reign of Superman where you get like 4 new Supermen, and they're finding a way to fit them into this new universe. So I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see the animated take on Superboy, the what was it? Steel Superman.
Steel, Superboy. So real quick, this story, if you're not familiar with the Reign of Superman, in the last movie, Superman was killed. Spoiler, I guess. We should give a little spoiler. We're going to talk a little bit about this movie.
The last movie was called The Death of Superman.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the title spoiler if on its own. But we're not going to give away all the details in this movie. We are going to be talking about it. So if you want to know absolutely nothing about it, kind of skip to the end of this and we'll give you our final review. But just FYI, you've been warned. So the premise of this one, in the last movie, Superman is killed by Doomsday. Or was he? And the world had to deal with the loss of Superman. This one picks up with suddenly, the world's still kind of reeling from Superman's death. The Justice League is trying to kind of figure out how to do things without Superman. No one realized how much Superman did for the world until he was gone.
You forget what happens when you have that one guy that can fly and basically nothing hurts him.
Do everything, right? I mean, it kind of ties into the world without Superman storyline. And so, we deal with Lois Lane still kind of dealing with the death of Superman. And then suddenly 4 new Supermen mysteriously four new Supermen mysteriously show up, each one claiming to be Superman or a different version. You had Superboy, who we find out early on is a clone. We have Steel, who is a man in an iron suit. Now, if any of you have read Superman or familiar at all, they stick fairly close to the comic origins. The original storyline for the Superman we have Steel, we have the Eradicator who looks like Superman, but he's got these sweet yellow 1990s goggles.
And he talks like he's like a robotic.
And he shoots beams out of his hands and just murders everybody.
Yeah, like, you are a criminal. Criminal's bad.
Yeah, and then you have the one who is the most like Superman. You have Cyborg Superman who shows up. Half his face is cyborg, but he is claiming to be Superman. He kind of looks like Superman, talks like Superman, and it's telling everybody he is Superman. And so the story kind of...
creepiest out of all of them, by far.
Definitely. So, the story kind of revolves around, like, hey, who are all these new Superman? Where do they come from? The first 2/3 of the movie we deal with finding out all these different origins of the Superman, which all lead to the big climax at the end of the movie. Where we get to see the original Superman, spoiler alert, come back with this sweet, sweet black costume and his mullet. Glorious long hair.
Luscious hair.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Lois didn't just, rip off her clothes.
You'd be like, take me now.
But when she saw the mole and everything, she just didn't like.
I'm not gonna lie. I was watching it going like, I'm gonna rip off all my clothes and be like, Superman, take me now with that mullet, those sweet wristbands he had on. I like it. That kind of brings me to one of my favorite things about this movie is, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I remember reading these comic books, and I love how they stuck to the original, visual concepts for these Supermen.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were gonna go with like the mullet and everything, or if they're gonna maybe they could have done like a modern man bun or something like that.
There was a few updates, like for instance in the original comics, Cyborg Superman. You didn't know he was Cyborg for a long time. He showed up with original skin. It wasn't until later that a lot of his skin got blown off, and you found out he was a robot.
Yeah, because in this one, it was just like this part of his face.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the time to develop this. In the comic books, it took a lot longer. I think it was like almost an entire year of this reign of Superman before they brought Superman, the actual Superman, back. So for a long time, you didn't know. Part of the thrill of the comic book was you didn't know if any of these really were Superman. Like each one was claiming that they were different. Superboy was claiming he was Superman reborn, and the Eradicator was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Superman," and then Cyborg Superman came out looking exactly like Superman, and people thought he was Superman. Everybody kind of knew Steel wasn't Superman, but but that was kind of thrilled. They don't really dive into that a lot. I mean, there's a little bit of like, oh, I'm really Superman, but that doesn't last very long. But I did really enjoy the 90s concepts. Superboy had that ridiculous 90s like hairstyle and leather jacket.
Yeah, and like he was just kind of in it for like the ladies.
Oh my god, yeah, he was just like groping everybody, just being a 90. Yeah, I mean, if any of you younger generation want to know what dudes were like back in the 90s, just watch Superboy. I mean, that's kind of the way it was. But it was just a Wild West back then. But
and not a lot of, like you said though, dude, I think Superboy gets a lot of attention, but the Eradicator Superman not as much, and the Steel Superman.
Well, did he or did he not just murder a bunch of people? Like, they kind of let it out in the beginning that the Eradicator is out going around just committing mass homicide on bad people.
Lex Luthor shoved that lady in front of him.
Dude, Lex Luthor's great. I love Rainn Wilson's version of Lex Luthor, by the way. Can I just say that?
Yeah, Lex Luthor was very interesting.
Yeah, he's kind of a cross between like the Superman animated series, where he's kind of like the business CEO, but he's also kind of a cross with the Gene Hackman Lex Luthor, where he's kind of this goofy weasel.
Or when they get rid of Donovan.
Yeah.
Releases the weird clones on him.
He's like, "You're fired." He just what are they? Okay, how do you go from like these weird mutant clones to Superboy? Like none of them even remotely look like him. But we also get the Justice League in this, which is kind of good. I don't know. This movie for me, I really did like the death of Superman. I loved how they were able to incorporate the Justice League, and they really made it fresh, and it was a ton of action, and it was really good.
Got choked watching Death of Superman.
Yeah, it was one that I wasn't excited to watch because we'd already seen a really good animated Death of Superman already. And I was really taken by surprise of how much I enjoyed the last one. This one to me was a little bit of a letdown. It's not bad, but the beginning of this, the first half of this just drags, and it's just so slow.
I was watching as I was working, and I had to pause it halfway through and take like a good hour break until like I went back to it and finished it out. I mean, it's not that it was bad. It was just that it could have been a lot shorter.
Well, I think the problem was they tried to do a lot in this. The problem was it wasn't very focused, right? So we didn't get a very much story from. It had no point. Like it wasn't very focused, right? So we get a lot with the Superman, like Steel. He's just kind of there. You know right away who he is. The Eradicator. You're not really sure, but he shows up and then he's kind of gone. And the only person that you're not really sure about is Cyborg Superman, but they establish really quickly that he's the main villain in this.
Yeah, they established really quickly that, like, I'm a cyborg, and I'll make you a part cyborg too.
I work for Darkseid, and everybody's gonna die, and it's part of this Darkseid plot. I really thought they made a mistake by trying to shoehorn Darkseid into this whole thing, because it added more than it needed, and we took away some of the element of who are these Supermen. they established right away that Superboy just wasn't that strong, and
and then by the time they got around, they're like, oh, the dark side's behind the whole thing, and then literally 5 minutes later, well, there goes Darkseid.
Well, and then at the end, nobody had any major role to play other than Cyborg Superman and the original Superman, right? And so that was kind of the point, is like the Eradicator, Steel, and Superboy were kind of pointless in this movie, which if you're going to have Reign of the Supermen, you need to have more than just a few Supermen show up and be like, yes, we're here. Now move on to the major plot, right? So, I mean, the movie, I will say this.
Reigned, it was the Cyborg Superman, and everyone else was just a vassal.
It was just kind of like, oh, we need to stay. The storyline's called Reign of Superman, so we have to kind of just throw some Supermen in here. But, the movie wasn't very focused until Superman came back. Now, once Kal-El actually comes back, that's when the movie really picks up and really kind of carries the emotional weight of his return. And there's some great action as always. This movie is beautiful as always. I mean, Warner Brother Animation is the best at what they do. And once the story picks up, it's really entertaining. You just have to really slug through it to get to that point.
Yes. I very much agree with you. When I watched the last half of the movie, I was more entertained than I was by the first half.
Yeah, and I kind of like to watch this as all one story. It's very much a part two. So, I mean, it does stand alone on its own, but if you didn't watch The Death of Superman, you're really going to be like, what's going on in this movie? I have no idea. So, but overall, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the back half way more than I liked the first half, but I thought the animation was great. The cast was stellar as always. I really enjoy how much they're connecting the connective tissue of this universe they're making. And I did really enjoy the visual cues from the 90s and how they kept a lot of that intact. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they did all the things that make WB animated movies great.
Yeah.
Minus they just kind of messed up on the story a little bit, but everything else is exactly what you expect from a very high bar of DC animated movies. I mean, I have very high expectations now when I watch these movies.
Yeah, definitely.
They've been consistently so dang good.
Yes.
Death of Superman, I have not been choked up in an animated movie since I was a little kid. I got choked up in Death of freaking Superman, Brian.
Yeah, and maybe that's what the problem is with this one. That was such a high bar, I think, for the animation studio so far that this one just was not quite as good. So, I mean,
it wasn't terrible. I mean,
no, it wasn't terrible. No, but by any means, this is definitely watchable. I would say this: if you are a huge fan of these and you have them all, then yes, you should go out and buy this one. There's nothing in this that breaks the movie that you shouldn't buy it. If you're a casual fan, maybe wait till this gets on the DC Universe app. I mean, it's going to be on there and you can watch it for free. Definitely watch it at some point or maybe just rent it. It's not as good as some of the other ones, but like I said, if you buy all these and you want to add to your collection, you're definitely not going to be sad you did. It's got some killer animation and the back half of the story is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to lend it to one of my buddies that he likes to watch all the DC animated movies after me. So that's where I got them. So I mean, it's a good movie. It just like you said, it's slow at the start. It takes its time to kind of build up the momentum to where it needs to be. And I love the 90s stuff. So
yeah, definitely. That might be my favorite part, that they kept it all in. So kudos to you guys. You guys could have reimagined it and instead kept a lot of it exactly the way it was, which I think was great. So, all right, you got anything else to say?
No, I mean it's good. You should at least give it a try.
Yeah, it is worth a watch. If you're not a diehard fan, maybe rent it. If you are a huge fan, just go ahead and buy it. It's going to be on the shelf and you're going to add to the collection. So, all right, well, special thanks to Warner Brothers for sending us a copy of that so we could check it out. You guys are amazing, and we always appreciate it. So, until then, everybody, thank you for watching, and stay awesome.
And don't forget to stay nerdy.